Actually, the first time I came across autism it wasn't under that name. It was in 1966, and I was talking to a friend who was working at a Steiner school, or Steiner village it was, and he was describing this child with a behaviour which was very odd. He was just completely withdrawn and unable to communicate. And of course now looking back would say, well, yes, he had many of the classic signs of autism. But at that time the word autism was hardly known. It was only known in specialist areas. But of course since then it's become much more widely known, and as it's become more widely known, people have realised that it's not just a single disease, it's a whole spectrum. In fact, one might even ask the question, is it a disease? And there's some times when you can say it at one end of the spectrum, certainly not. About 10, 12 years ago or so, I had a boy I think he was 8 years old, something like that. And he was brought to me, and he was becoming quite withdrawn and having difficulty in relating to people. And the school and the professionals wanted to give the diagnosis of autism. And I probed a little bit deeper, and it turned out he was incredibly intelligent. His father was also intelligent too. But this boy, he could remember everything. I mean, he was easily top of the class because he could just remember things, and also had an inquiring mind. He would ask, for example, he'd ask the teachers, what are we made of? What are we made of? Well, we're made of muscle and bones. And what are animals made of? Well, they're muscles and bones. And well, why do we eat animals? And they said, well, animals. The teachers didn't know, of course. Why is it okay to kill animals and not okay to kill humans? And then he asked the question, well, my granny died a few months ago. Why didn't we eat granny? And he would ask all sorts of uncomfortable questions like that. So he wasn't teacher's favourite, even though he got to the top, he was easily the top of the class. So anyway, he was brought to me, and I said to the parents, look, there's nothing wrong with your child. He's a great child. He's just going through a difficult patch. There's no way around that, because he's just different from other children. He's just much more clever and asks much more demanding questions. It's going to be difficult for him for a while, but he'll get through this difficult patch. And indeed he has. He's now in university and doing extremely well, and had no difficulty in relating to people at all. Well, that's one end of the spectrum. And at the other end of the spectrum, there are children who quite obviously something is not right. I don't like to call it ill, because it's sort of put things in the wrong perspective, but something's not right. They can't relate. They may be incredibly intelligent. Often they are, but they just can't relate and don't want to interact with the world. And why one can say that there's something wrong is because the mothers and fathers can usually remember a time when they didn't have a problem relating, and something happened quite suddenly to change that. Well, anyway, after a while, in practice, once I started practicing acupuncture, after a while, one or two children came to me who were autistic, and I didn't really know what to do. In fact, I had no clue at all. And I think that applies to many practitioners too. You don't know where to start. But gradually over the years, I've sort of come to the conclusion, yes, there are quite a number of different imbalances which can contribute to this behaviour. If you can correct these imbalances, it gives the child a much better chance of getting on, relating to people, making life better for the whole family also. So anyway, that's the reason why I've written this book. It's to help practitioners. also I've written it in what I hope is fairly easy to understand language, so that parents too can understand it. They can understand what it is that's happening to their child, what it is they can do to help, whether indeed their child is autistic or just going through a difficult patch, and indeed what to look out for. So that's why I've written the book, and it's one person's experience. Other people will have a different point of view, but this is my point of view, a point of view that I've sort of gradually developed over the years, based on the children that have come to my clinic. In the book I cover not only acupuncture, because of course many of these children don't like even to be touched, let alone to be needled, and it would be quite inappropriate to needle these children. So I cover techniques of treatment which are all based on Chinese medicine, and basically it gives you an idea what a practitioner can do.